All right. All right. I'll call the meeting to order since we have quorum. All right. First up, we have the approval of the minutes of January 29th, 2026. Does anybody have any modifications, edits, corrections?
Oh,
See a lot of no's. I was not there, so I will not have any comments on it. What's going on here? So if there are no modifications, so I hear a motion to approve the minutes of January 29th, 2026.
Come on.
A second?
second.
All in favor?
Zulik,
Yes.
Barrington,
Yes.
Barbary Glubsky,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Pasamato.
Abstain.
And I see Melinda. Melinda, we just approved the minutes. That was it.
Great. I'm dealing with some technical difficulties, so hoping to log on with my computer in a moment.
All right, so public hearing, 7 p.m., notice of intent, Lynbrook Road, right away, replacement of water main. In accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the South Row Wetlands Bylaw, the South Row Conservation Commission will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, March 12th, 2026 at 7 p.m. via virtual Zoom meeting. The commission will consider a notice of intent for a project located within the Lynbrook right-of-way for the applicant South Row DPW. The project description is replacement of a water main.
All set. I'm Seaver Anderson with PAR here, representing the town. Also with me is Jason Anderson, if you could also admit him as a presenter,
Yep.
and Bill Cundiff with the DPW. My lighting's a little bad.
Are you hiding in a closet?
Yeah, no, sorry.
I can barely see you.
Yeah, it's light in my room, but for some reason, it always shows up as very dark
All right, that's
without
better.
blinding myself. Yep.
That's better. Thanks.
Let me pull up my screen. So I'm a professional wetland scientist with PAR. Um, we, I'll get into the project here. So Lynbrook Road, we're located in the northwest corner of Southborough. Let me know when you can see my screen here.
Got it.
Got it. Great. So northwest corner of Southborough, right near Interstate 95 corridor. Main Street, also State Route 30, runs east to west at the northern end of the project limits. Lynbrook Road runs at the southern end. It dead ends right along I-495 here. So the project is taking place with an existing utility easement and also within portions of both Main Street and Lynbrook Road. You can see it's here highlighted in red. Um, Go on to show you an aerial view of the site. So there's an existing water main in this location. As you can see, it comes down Lynbrook Road and then crosses, runs parallel with 495 north and ties in to the water main in Main Street. Wetland resource areas primarily consist of a network of intermittent streams. They flow in a northerly direction. Coming from this wetland complex, it crosses under Lynbrook Road via a culvert, enters into a small impoundment. There's a little dam that impounds the stream here, and then continues north into this marsh complex before crossing under Main Street. There's several bordering vegetated wetlands that border on the intermittent streams, as well as several others that you can see in blue here. There's several other streams that discharge from culverts along the toe of the 495 embankment. None of these streams they're either not mapped or their map is intermittent on the USGS topographic maps. We also checked the USGS stream stats, and the watershed size is less than a quarter acre, and there's only 14% of stratified drift. So they all are well within the definition of intermittent under the Wetland Protection Act. So we have no riverfront area on the site, but we do have buffer zone and the local 20-foot no work zone associated with the wetlands and the streams. We'll then move on to the plan view. And before I pass it off to Jason to describe the proposed work, I will mention that this is submitted as a limited project for maintenance of an existing utility. So that's under 10.533D of the Wetland Protection Act. So if Jason is on and able, is he promoted as a panelist?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Great.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, thanks for meeting with us today. We really appreciate it. Just to give you an idea, this section of piping is one of the way PAR does is we did a pipe ranking system for all the piping in the Southborough system. And one of the determinations from our ranking was this section of piping, since it's a main feeder from the Boland pump station to the Terra Road tank. The criteria to determine this, where this pipe ranked in the system was based on age, how much flow it carried, the size of material. So this section of piping, like I said, was determined in the pipe ranking system based on the, from the pump station to the tank and the feeding of it, was determined to be a high priority pipe, kind of like almost like a single point of vulnerability. Based on being through the wetland. So we took great consideration because typically with an open cut excavation and when you replace water main, it's through open cut, digging trenches. So where this is near a water main, we're near wetland, we decided to go with a lining process that would keep the integrity of the pipe. This is AC pipe, so it's, this is old pipe, it's old, greater than 50 years old. So putting this liner in will allow us to get at least another 50 years, but consideration was with using this technology versus using open cut would really do a number to the easement and the wetlands. So this is a less intrusive process. So again, it's about 1,950 square feet. Once we get out of this area, we're going to go back to the open cut situation where down Lovers Lane and down into the Terra Road area. So if you can zoom in, Steve, that would be great a little bit. So we're gonna tap into the water main on the left. You go up a little bit.
Yeah, you want me to go start at Main Street?
Yeah, Main Street. So we're gonna realign the pipe, and we're gonna add some valving and some couplings to get us started. Then we're gonna start the lining process in that first lining pit. And then we're going to continue on and not disturb the ground. We're heading south now. We're not going to disturb the ground, and we're going to just continue on lining this pipe with it's a cure in place liner. It's a class 4. It's a structural liner. It's great in these applications. It's NSX 61 approved, so it's approved for drinking water operation. So then we get to our second pit. And same sort of thing. We're going to need to cut out a little area of the piping. We'll replace with new ductile iron. But this is would be a receiving pit from one as we push the structural liner down. And this process continues all the way basically to the end. There are a few areas. This is our third pit. And the company that makes this product, Aquapure, they need to open up a pit every 400 feet or so. So we picked the pit locations to be outside of like the stream areas, just to to keep the disturbance down. So yeah, if you can go more to that way, and then once we come out of the easement, and then we start heading east up Lynbrook. We're gonna replace some of the piping there and just continue up, and we're going to have a couple more of these pits until we get to Lovers Lane. Lovers Lane is where we'll be part of this project. Hopefully there'll be some money where we can start going down Lovers Lane now that we're out of the wetland area for regular open cut excavation for water main replacement. which is kind of what you typically see. You know, just some valves we're going to be adding, some sleeves. So, and then this one residence here, if need be, we'll put them on bypass, feed off the hydrant for them if we need to, you know, take their water supply away for a little bit. But again, this is this class 4 structural liner throughout the whole process. You know, inside of the 12-inch asbestos cement pipe. Probably, you know, like I said, it's probably the less intrusive way of doing this, an open cut all the way through the easement that's in the wetland. So that's the big bonuses of using this product. And it's, you know, it's been successful in a lot of applications in Massachusetts.
Right.
That's kind of,
And I'll just say the total excavation area within the buffer zone is limited to 280 square feet. So the nature of just the excavation pits really reduces the amount of excavation needed, and that's all within either maintained grass easement or paved roadway. The only disturbance in buffer zone to actual natural vegetation is up at the very northern end. There'll have to be some clearing right along Main Street. Clearing this tree line that was provided by the surveyor is more captures the canopy. There's some shrub and vine vegetation there. It's regularly maintained by the state because it's right on within the state highway right of way. So I think it's subject to pretty regular maintenance by the DOT, but we're proposing that'll have to be cleared for this open cut, but it'll be restored with a native conservation seed mix. Less likely to be cut by the DOT when they come by, but also good for pollinator habitat and restore that function to the buffer there. In terms of, like I said, it's a limited project. We've minimized work within the buffer zone substantially, as Jason said, by using this method of the structural liner. And it does comply with the limited project provisions, which is allowable under the bylaw for work within that. You know, we have to do some work within that 20-foot no disturb zone. But the local bylaw does allow for that for limited projects such as this.
one other thing I'll add too is on Lynbrook Road, that is considered a state highway. And we have actually just received comments back from Mass DOT for that section of road. There'll be a traffic plan that'll be in place for when this work takes place. But the comments are not overly bearing, so.
So Bill Cundiff, DPW Superintendent, just to expand upon what Jason and Seaver had commented on. What initiated this project is we learned that Lynbrook Road was in fact a state highway. We've been having discussions with the state on taking that road back, giving that road to the town, even though we plow and maintain it currently. And in consideration of us accepting the road, they're going to upgrade the road, so repave it. We thought it'd be a good opportunity to do any digging or work on the water main prior to that happening. So that's part of the reason that played into this.
Well, you know, they say that you learn something new every day,
Mhm.
and that's it. I did not know that was a state road.
Yeah, they never discontinued it when they had the new Route 30. This used to be Route 30.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the wetland delineation, you're not looking to memorialize that, are you? This application?
No, we delineated it, myself and a colleague, but no, we're not submitting this as a abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, just notice
Okay.
of intent purposes.
Right. Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to mention was reminding the board that we did have an emergency certificate issued for a penetration of the pipe that we had to go out and dig up and repair. This is kind of an extension of that emergency certificate.
Point.
Let me see, Joe Orzel, our environmental consultant. Do you have any comments you want to add here?
Yeah, I got a couple relatively quick comments. Just regarding the delineation that you brought up, we haven't had a chance to get out there with the snow cover to look at the site or the delineation. We are anticipating to be out in the field next week, pretty heavy, looking at a number of sites. And if the commission needs that to be looked at, we will be out there next week. The applicant had stated that they did a stream stats analysis, and I agree that the streams along the easement are intermittent. There is a stream junction located approximately, based on aerial photos, about approximately 200 feet downstream to the west of Main Street. And it looks like it's pretty close, within maybe a few feet of riverfront area extending into the limit of work. So the applicant might want to just confirm, number one, if the stream becomes perennial at that junction, which I think it might, and then also if they are within 200 feet. I think they might just be just beyond 200 feet, but that should be confirmed with a look at the distance from that junction. We concur that the work qualifies as a limited project. We're also recommending that the commission requires the applicant to provide the final design plans to the commission before any construction activity begins. The alternatives analysis appears suitable for the scope of the work, seeing that it's in a existing water easement. Couple of minor errors on the delineation forms, but those did not result in any changes in the conclusions. Would recommend that the applicant provide some additional information to the commission regarding possible dewatering. And I think the narrative states that the contractor will be responsible for dewatering, but doesn't really give any details. I believe maybe some additional information on that should be provided to the commission at some point. On the site plan, there's a apparent stray buffer zone line on sheet C 2.2. It looks like a buffer zone line. It's unlabeled. I'm not quite sure if that's just a error or if it's a actual depicting a buffer of some kind and it's just not labeled. So that should just be clarified. Also on the site plans, the erosion control barrier on sheets C 2.2 and 2.1 is not visible due to the match line labeling. Just wanted to make sure that it's clear what is proposed in that area because you can't really tell on either sheet where the proposed erosion control barrier is. And I think that sums up my comments.
All right, thanks, Joe. Does the applicant or consultants have any comments back in rebuttal?
I will say, so the stream stats method, we did check, it was downstream, the downstream portion of the work area, downstream of Main Street. I do not think we went all the way, let me see, to the junction. You're talking, the junction you're talking about is like off screen here somewhere.
Correct. It's just about 200 feet from the limit of work or just beyond 200 feet from the limit of work based on aerial photographs. But yeah, roughly where your arrow is in that general area.
Okay. Yeah, we can confirm. I'll have to check the stream stats report. to confirm that, but we did take it, I believe, in this area, downstream of the Main Street culvert. Um, I would say even if that riverfront area does clip the northern end of this work, it would just be really the work that's, probably right here, right along the Main Street. So I'm not sure that that tiny bit of riverfront would have any effect on the decision or order of condition. Um, I mean, we can take a look and, estimate it, but, and get back to you, but
No, I would agree. I think just as for the record, whether or not any work is occurring within the riverfront area.
mhm. Yep, understood. Um, Jason,
We
you want to
could,
speak?
we could potentially
Sorry.
condition that, so.
Okay. Yeah, if that's something that could be conditioned, we could definitely provide that pretty quickly. Uh, Jason, do you want to speak to the dewatering details?
Sure.
Or do we show a detail on the
I
plans?
think nothing on those we do, yeah. I think, yeah, so we discussed with the contractor, we'd have this sort of arrangement here, where they would be pumping into like a settling basin. We don't anticipate, I mean, there will be, let's say that when this work will, I mean, when we did the borings, there was, obviously there's water, but hopefully there won't be a lot of dewatering going on. I think most of this piping is 4 or 5 feet below grade, so when the contractor digs these pits, we just need about a foot underneath the existing pipe to conduct the work. So
I mean, would this detail is more needed to satisfy that comment? More than typically this is what we'll include as our, dewatering detail. If you need a more detailed description of, this configuration, we could provide that
I think
in narrative form.
one quick change would be the reference to hay bales. Could you replace that with straw bales?
Yep.
Thank you.
And just for the commission's thought, something that we usually do for these types of projects, especially when a contractor isn't known, because a lot of these do state, the contractor to find proper, their preferred areas for dewatering setups, that the final location and setup be reviewed and approved by the agent prior to the start of any dewatering activities. So that can be a condition within your decision.
When is this work planned to be done? Or start?
we're gonna after we resolve all the Mass DOT comments, and then from here, then we're looking to. I mean, the bid docs are all ready to go. We just have to make a few changes to the final drawings. But looking to go to bid, I would think in the next 3 weeks or so,
Okay,
a month, something like that.
something like that, okay.
Yeah.
So probably this summer wouldn't be out of reason, probably, right, Jason?
Or start of work. That's right.
Yeah, I'm just asking whether or not we need to, rush to close this with a lot of conditions, or we've got some time to get some drawings and some language updated to be able to close it at our next hearing.
No, you can certainly take as long as you need. We are ready to go, but certainly the bid process alone is going to take a month. So we're out 2 months before we actually award a contract.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know, because I'd rather get our I's dotted and T's crossed rather than condition everything crazy. So Other comments from commission members?
No, just that I'm glad to see this technology being used in a water main. It's especially in a case like this, but in just about every case, it's going to be less expensive than cut and cover, and the durability of it is pretty astounding. I'm familiar with its use in a lot of sewer projects.
Yeah.
But this is a perfect use case for it. And it's interesting that you're putting a liner in the pipe, so it does in fact reduce the diameter a little bit, but because the liner is so much smoother than the AC pipe that's already there, you end up increasing the flow capacity of the pipe. It's interesting.
That's right.
One last thing is that it's really interesting to see the process done if anyone goes out to watch it.
Yeah, we tried to get Bill and his crew. We had a project lined up, but it just didn't happen. But we'll try to maybe get something.
It's an interesting process. It's really cool to see it done.
Yeah. Yeah, looking forward to using it here. And
Any other
then
comments from commission members?
I was just going to say, in those pits that we'll be digging, the section of AC pipe, those will all be disposed of properly. That's what we'll replace with ductile iron, but not too much linear feet of that.
And Mark, before you open it up, is the commission okay with Joe's review as is and not doing a site visit next week and just having PAR address the comments that have been raised thus far?
From my perspective, since we're not memorializing the wetland boundaries, I don't see a need to go out and confirm that. They're not asking for it. We're only in the buffer zone a little bit with limited work. Most of it is like, lining a pipe. So I'm okay with that, going out there and trudging through the mud to, reconfirm all those wetland boundary lines. I'm open to other conversations with commission members, how they feel. That's kind of where I'm at.
I kind of agree with Mark, especially given that this is a limited project. Even if the wetland lines did move, a little bit here or a little bit there, I don't think it would affect our final decision, on the work on the pipeline, because it is at the end of the limited project and isn't subject to the same kind of level of scrutiny in the Wetlands Protection Act.
Others' opinions? All right, hearing none, I think they're aligned. So yeah, I think that the comments that Joe provided, if they can be addressed in a revised set of plans and narrative, I think we will be good to go.
Great. We can certainly provide that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so with that, we'll continue to next hearing.
Will you do public real quick?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to do that. You interrupted me.
I know. That's my fault.
I was ready to do that. If the public has any interest or comments in this project, please raise your hand and Melissa will let you in. Excuse me.
I do not see any hands.
All right, with that, do we hear a motion to continue this hearing?
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Sulik,
Yes.
Barrington,
Yes.
Upton,
Yes.
Barbary Glebsky,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Osmano.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have a time?
As of now, this is first up at 7. I'm not aware of anything else coming in
Okay.
on 4-2.
And 4-2.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, you too.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
everyone.
Okay, next up we have notice of intent, stormwater management permit, 0 Southville Road. map 5, lot 8, construction of 2 apartment buildings and associated site work. In accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Southborough Wetlands Bylaw, and the provisions of the Southborough Stormwater and Erosion Control Bylaw, Southborough Town Code, Chapter 154. The Southborough Conservation Commission will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, March 12, 2026 at 7:10 p.m. by a virtual Zoom meeting. The commission will consider a notice of intent for a project located at 0 Southville Road, map 5, lot 8. The applicant Apartments at Southville Road, LLC. The project description is the construction of 2 apartment buildings and associated site work.
Good evening, board. James Benincasa, Southville Road Apartments. So, yes, we have 3 buildings, 2 buildings and a clubhouse proposed at 20 Southville Road. It's about a 4-acre site. It's in the NBTA overlay district. Scott Heim went out and flagged the wetlands, and survey was done by Kevin Jarvis. After we did do the flagging and locating, we actually submitted the plans. We found out there was an ANRAD that was done quite a while ago, right, Melissa? It was like 2021, maybe. Right. So there was an ANRAD that was done in 2021. So we did that. We found that out afterwards, and obviously with the snow, we haven't been able to go out and confirm that or walk the site. We did get a comment letter from Lucas Environmental today. We also got a comment letter from the abutters. So we do have some work to do on the plan. I wanted to come in and just have an initial thought and a conversation with the board rather than doing a continuance. Didn't think it was, wasn't looking to get too far into the plans because I do think it's going to change depending on, the line that we find out with the ORAD, and obviously going through the comments that Joe has given us today. So unless you want me to go too much more into the plan, it's kind of more to get comments from the board.
Obviously with the weather, there hasn't been much site viewing that could have been done.
No, that was in Joe's comments right away too. Hasn't been out there. It's been a little, quite a bit of snow.
Yeah, and now with the snow melt and the rain coming Monday, it's going to be even more muddier.
It is. It is.
So, make sure that you have your arms out so you don't sink.
I'll bring floaties.
Yeah, supposed to get 1 to 2 inches of rain on Monday. So,
wow.
I guess I would open it up to anybody have any initial questions with respect to this project. I know we opened up the public hearing with the notice of intent. It seems honestly from my perspective a little early for that, but it is what it is. So I don't know if you have anything more to present other than 3 buildings and 4 acres.
We have the full set, but the issue that we're going to have is if to be honest, to go through the whole thing, and then if the ANRAD changes. So when we did flag it, you can see where Scott where it ended, where his line ended. There's a small tail on the ORAD that would push the 200-foot buffer zone closer to building number 1. So that building might move, and so it would obviously change the layout of what we're working on, but that's kind of the biggest issue or concern that we have.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, getting agreement on the wetlands boundary is probably the number one thing we need to do.
Agreed. Instead of asking for a continuance, I just figured just to come in and see if there was any initial comments. I agree with you. That's why I didn't really plan on going too far into the plan tonight, just because, again, it could change. So,
Mark, if I may.
Well,
Sort of
Yeah, let me just say one more thing, Ben.
Yeah.
Where we open the hearing, we're going to have to continue,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
So, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Just along that same line of thinking, another thing that even at this early stage, I think needs some discussion is it's going back 4 or 5 years, but there was some clearing that took place here within buffer zone and I believe riverfront area that we addressed through an enforcement order. And I'm wondering if perhaps at our next meeting, before then, Melissa could post some of those documents to the SharePoint so we could see where the disturbance was, and maybe Melissa could give us a rundown. Or Joe, I don't know if you were the one who inspected any of this, but what restoration was done. And I asked this with an eye towards, what land was previously disturbed under Rivers Protection Act, and what land was, previously disturbed sort of illegally that was supposed to be restored. I just want to make sure that we track all of that down and make sure we've identified legitimate previously disturbed area within the riverfront, and we're not accidentally including stuff from this violation a few years ago.
Of course. And Ben, I can go over a couple things quickly if, just so commissioners can percolate on that in the meantime. So the ANRAD that we've been discussing was the end resolution from that violation. So what happened back, and that ANRAD, because of the permit extensions from COVID, is still valid, at least for a little bit longer. So no, I guess the downside is no real restoration was required from the commission at that time, besides putting some construction fencing along that riverfront area and telling them to stay out. So I can definitely upload the old information I thought we had, and I apologize, in regards to the ANRAD stuff. And also there's a lot of the historic aerial images over the last couple years where you can look at the site where you see that orange arc. And that is that construction fence that the commission required. So anything to the south of that had a disturbed area. I don't know if it was ever quantified in a square footage. It was myself and Matt that were dealing with that at the time from Lucas.
Yeah.
But I know I had provided to Jim some of the back and forth and the reviews that Matt had provided at the time regarding the violation and the confirmation of the wetland flags. So I'll definitely make sure that is in the project folder for you guys to look at between now and the next meeting as well, and put together some images to at least come up with a general analysis. But I also, talked to Joe about it too. So I'm sure during his site visit will be something that I think you'd be looking at too, in terms of that historic area and what's proposed now.
Thank you very much. That would be very helpful. And then the final piece, I'm again echoing something that Mark brought up. It does, ultimately, applicants are allowed to apply whenever they would like. It does seem a little early in a long process, perhaps, to get in front of the Conservation Commission. It appears to my eye that there will be actual zoning variances needed, perhaps even going before the planning board. I could be wrong on that, but things like parking in front of the buildings and the presence of the clubhouse and so forth. Again, this isn't our bailiwick. In the interest of saving the applicant time and expense and redesigns and so forth, you may want to think about the timing of the permitting process. I see we're lucky enough to have Mimi Luttrell with us here tonight, so if she gave us some comment on that too, that would be more than welcome. But that's what I've seen so far. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, I mean, as far as what the commission has to look at and work on right now, it's pretty thin in terms of the plans and things. I mean, the first thing we'd have to do is go out and validate the wetlands boundary line. Ben brings up an excellent point for the enforcement order and things that were done or not done 2 years ago. So we need to get our heads wrapped around that and drive that to ground. Other than that, I guess right now I would open it up to other commission members for comments, and then the public if they have any comments.
I just say it does seem like it's a little early in the process. We've seen a lot of feedback from Joe and also from the abutters, and think that it will be good once the snow is melted to understand a little bit more about the lot and the specifications of it. That will help inform the discussions we have to follow up.
Thank you, Melinda. Others?
Through the chair.
Yes.
Just a clarification, or just want to be sure that it's clear that the ORAD is still valid until apparently April 23rd of this year. The notice of intent having been filed while the ORAD is valid is pretty much locked into that line. That's the reason for having the ORAD in place. I talked to Chris about this also, and our understanding from conversations with DEP is that there's no way to mechanism to change the approved ORAD while it remains valid. So our opinion is that the applicant has to use the approved ORAD, or if they want to use a new delineation that would need to be reviewed, technically they should resubmit the notice.
So the ORAD on file that has the line delineated today,
yes,
is the one that they need to adhere to.
Correct.
And if there's a required deviation or change to that, they would have to issue a new notice for a new line.
Correct.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yep.
That's your understanding too?
So in the current ORAD, it's till April, isn't it? Next month.
April 23rd, I believe. Is the,
okay.
It's valid through that date.
Okay.
So because I can be kind of crusty from time to time, is that why we opened this up tonight? Because of that?
No, we
be honest now. Come on.
No, it
What was
wouldn't
that?
matter. It was already submitted previously, so it wouldn't.
All
right.
Yeah, we submitted this a couple months ago.
Okay. All right. Anybody from the public? Raise your hand. Melissa, let you in.
There's one. Freddie, you should be able to unmute.
Hi, Freddie Gillespie, 78 Southville Road. And I'm one of the signers of the letter. It's not, I want to be clear, it's from the neighborhood, not abutters, which are technically classified as being within a certain distance of the project. I want to say that the neighbors are looking forward to working with the project proponent and the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board when we get to that level. So, we're just going to raise our concerns. We're not river experts, but some things jumped out in reviewing this and wanted to go through a few of those. And we understand that the zoning issues are Planning Board issues. But reading the zoning code for the MBTA overlay, there are no variances. So that's out for putting the parking up front. There's waivers, but I believe the neighbors will have great input in whether a waiver will be issued or not. It's a different standard than variances, so we don't know what that's going to be now. But as it stands, the parking out front is not an allowed use. Neither is the clubhouse, and that is because that's either has to be a listed use under the MBTA overlay district, or has to comply with the underlying zoning. And it's not in the underlying zoning, and we don't have a use variance, so there's no way to get, to rectify putting a clubhouse on the property. There's no variance allowed, and it's not an allowed use. So that's kind of out. But why we're mentioning it is because it changes the layout of the property greatly if the parking's out back. And, we understand it's up to the project proponent if they want to, go forward with, permitting for a project that, may not be allowed to be built because it doesn't meet the zoning requirements. But we just wanted to mention that, and also our concerns about safety. There seems to be no way to have two, we're concerned about fire. There are fires often started along the tracks that go, there was one year that went multi-towns. So we want to be sure that not only is the neighborhood protected from fire spreading so that fire trucks can get back there, but people in the buildings can be rescued, and there doesn't seem to be any way to do that. And I know that's not your issue, but we thought we would mention it, and also that there doesn't seem to be any place for snow removal, and the likely place that this ends up in many projects, and I'm not saying this will happen here, but there's no place to put it. They put it where it can go, and that's in the riverfront area. So I think you want to be sure there's, I don't know if it's part of the conservation look at, but where is the snow going to go?
Yeah, we look at that constantly on every project, Freddie.
Okay, so
snow plowing where it gets up. Yeah.
There's no dumpster location either, so that's probably not yours, but where does the trash end up?
No, we look at that one too. Yeah.
Okay. So, and this may be premature because it's so far ahead of where you are, but because we're here and we wrote this letter, if I can briefly go through it, and I don't want to take all your time up, but in Lucas's review, he talked about, I'm jumping over to that because I just took a look at it, and he has comments about the condition of the river. Like vernal pools, state listed species, and there aren't any listed in that area, but we've learned that it often isn't because there aren't any, it's just no one's out there looking and documenting. But that section of the river is on the state's biomap, and we believe, the neighbors who have looked at the biomap and are commenting here, that there's value in knowing that it's a core habitat. Southborough doesn't have much if you compare it to other towns. Of course, the Sudbury Reservoir, which has thousands of acres under MWRA or DCR, has it. But as far as other places in town, that's where it is. And there's got to be something of specific value there if the state mapped it right there. And, the whole southern border of Southborough is the Sudbury River, and it's not the whole river that's mapped. So despite the, in number 7, the degradation of the water from the whole Sudbury River has mercury. So, that's, and the invasive species. So it seems to us that there's something special about that specific section of the river, and that means we're asking that and not that you wouldn't use the highest standards, but that should be in your back of your mind. We want to be sure you're aware of that because there's value in that. The state didn't map it just because. There's reasons for it. And I haven't been able to get to the deep down, but it has to do with the aquatic habitat.
I mean, Freddie, we are so early in this process that I'm actually, I don't want to say, I'm a little surprised that we opened up the hearing tonight for conservation.
Okay.
There's so many outstanding things outside of our purview that need to get straightened out that really should have been looked at and done before it came here. I mean, I would have appreciated maybe a early, hey, this is what's up, this is what we're looking at, informally to let us know, and then we could do some due diligence. But now we have a formal notice of intent in front of us that we have to continue for 3 weeks and probably continue as we work for this project. And as Mr. Smith also echoed that, we have a lot of things that we need to iron out before the commission can really dig their heels in here.
Okay,
You know,
so
um,
I don't want to waste your time,
no,
you know,
no, I appreciate the comments. I do.
as not knowing, you know, how this process was going to go. What if tonight was our only chance to weigh in?
Oh,
So
no.
we
We'd have plenty
don't know
more.
that as,
Yeah,
well, what
you'll have
if?
more.
And I did hear it would be continued because there was some plan, you know, some of the consulting plans hadn't been done, but we just wanted to raise that we have environmental concerns as well. And for those of you that don't know, I did river, you know, it's been a long time. I've forgotten more than most people ever learn. But I used to run the Sudbury River Watershed Organization, which we received awards. We worked with DCR and state USGS and did a whole water survey on the upper Sudbury River. So it's not just like I'm coming out of the woodwork today because it's near me to, you know, protest, you know, environmental
Oh, no.
concerns. And I will tell you that this parcel of land, back in the early, I think it was 2000, I was sent by the state to a 12-week Community Preservation Institute by the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs, as it was called then. And we had to do a project. And the project we did was specifically on that parcel of land and why it deserved protection. I wish I still had that. Of course, I was interested because it was in my neighborhood, but at that time it was all deeply wooded. There were other professionals in the group I was in. And, you know, I'm sorry I don't have the report that we did at the time, but there was value then. And we just want to make sure to the best, we understand it's going to be developed. We understand what the new zoning requires or allows. No, I shouldn't say requires. It allows up to 15 units an acre. We understand that, but we want to make sure it's done the best for the community, for the environment, and for the future residents. You know, these are going to be our new neighbors, and we want to make sure it's safe and a happy place for everyone to coexist. So thank you. We'll come
Yeah,
back
sure.
to this. I won't waste your time going through the rest of it. I will say one small thing before. I was surprised that there's no planting in the 200-foot riverfront area that is going to be under these plans greatly, you know, graded and, you know, stormwater infrastructure in there. Like I would expect, I heard seeding, but I would expect some sort of shrubs or something to make it a bigger buffer to be more natural. I'm not sure why there's nothing there now. And I assumed I was greatly concerned when the clear cutting happened. I did call Melissa at the time, or maybe it was even Beth at the time. I don't know how long ago it was, but we were concerned when we saw those woods come down. And it wasn't bare ground back then, so it's not sure why it's showing as no planting there after whatever's going to happen happens. So anyhow, thank you. There's some other neighbors
Yeah.
here, but I'll.
Yeah, I'm also very curious as we move through the process as to, you know, where's the stormwater going to go? Where's the septic going to go? You know, there's a lot of apartments being proposed. That all has to go someplace. So as we move through the process, you know, there'll be plenty of opportunities to remove the technical information, to review the technical information, and provide comments. This is not going to be over and done in a meeting or two for sure.
Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me share, and we look forward to participating in the process moving forward. I'm sure we'll get a little bit more knowledgeable as it goes on, or I'll start to remember things I had long forgotten.
Absolutely. And if you can find that report you just referred to, that'd be interesting to see.
It would be, but you know, computer crashes and 20 years ago or more.
Look at the cloud.
25. What?
In the
I don't even
cloud,
know if there
maybe.
was a cloud back there. I don't even, 25 years ago, you know, but I will take a look. And so thank you.
Okay, thanks. I see another hand raised, Melissa.
Bill, you should be able to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Bill Cundiff, DPW Superintendent. I just wanted to, my comments more form over substance at this point. I think, you know, many of the abutters that might be in attendance tonight are really losing an opportunity to see what the project's about. The presentation and overview of the scope of the project was very poor, in my opinion, and someone attending that hasn't seen the plans. I have seen the plans. I attended this meeting to hear what Mr. Venacosta had to say for the project, to understand what the intent was. I really didn't garner a lot of information that out of this presentation. And the downside is, as I said, it's an opportunity. The downside is you're going to lose a lot of people between this meeting and the next meeting and the subsequent meetings that are going to fall off because people just simply don't have the time to, hang around and wait for a plan to be developed. So I think, again, form over substance. I think it was an opportunity. I think people are not going to understand the project after tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mr. Cunoff. And back to my original opening statement, I think this was way premature to come in for an official notice of intent at this point in time. That it's not at a point where the Conservation Commission can really sink its teeth into this project right now. I think there's more things that should have been done to leading up to this, including wetland line delineation, working with zoning and planning. This is sort of like the tail wagging the dog.
So just through the chair, Mr. Chair. So I'm sorry if I misrepresented that, but we do have a full set. We did do a wetland. We did have the wetland scientists go out there. We did have them flag, and we did have it located. We do have a full set of plans with the submittal. I just wasn't going through that, and we were just basically asking for a continuance because of the information that was kind of brought to us. Today, we got the stuff from Lucas, we got the stuff from the abutters, and Melissa sent us quite a while ago, recently after the submittal. But then we did have the snowstorm, so we weren't able to actually go out and take a look at those. Our intention was to continue the hearing and kind of put this together. I just wanted to come in and just get some initial feedback. In hindsight, maybe that wasn't the right thing. I should have just continued it. But we do have a full set of plans. The project that we are proposing does meet the requirements of the MBTA. So we're not asking for any variances with this project. And like when the abutter said, we will be asking for maybe a couple waivers through the process. But the limit of work wouldn't change whether we got those waivers or not. So that was why we came into the conservation first. That's really what's going to dictate how we're moving things around. So coming in first, again, maybe tonight we should have just asked for a continuance, having the ORAD, which was brought to our attention after our submittal. Then maybe we should have gotten that before there. But we do have a full package. We were just, again, I didn't want to waste your time as far as getting into a full package and going through all the details of it when clearly it's going to change with that ORAD that was brought up and us not being able to go out there and confirm it. That's why I did that. So in hindsight, I'm sorry if I read that wrong as far as just coming in here and basically just trying to do a quick discussion, but that was my intent. We do have a full set of plans, but it'd be a waste of your time to go through it right now until we get that other locked down.
Yeah. So typically, when we have the opening, round of notice of intent, we get a full overview of the project and what's happening and so forth. And one of the things you initially said was, hey, if this wetland line moves, it's going to have a big impact on the project, moving things around. So, I get that you don't want to get a lot of detail. And I appreciate that. But in hindsight, I would say that we probably should have postponed opening it up until a later date when you had some more, boots on the ground and more data.
I apologize.
Don't have to apologize. I mean, it's, hindsight's 2020.
It is.
There's another hand raised, Melissa.
Freddie, you should be able to unmute.
I am. It's Freddie again. I just wanted to respond to our DPW director's comments about the neighborhood. that thank you for being concerned about us, but we went to the planning board, we saw the full presentation. It has changed because back then the buildings were in the riverfront area, and we were told that that was okay, but I'm glad they've been moved out of the riverfront, which changed the project somewhat, but basically it appears to be the same concept as was presented at that time. So I think we're pretty well educated, plus we have the plans that were submitted for this hearing, and the neighbors have gotten together and gone through it with a, pretty, to the best of our knowledge, trying to understand everything. So I think we're pretty well educated. I don't think we're going to be falling off. And I think we will stay engaged for the long haul. I don't think that's anything, not that you're concerned about it, but concerns were raised. And I think you've got a very dedicated group of people who are going to work together with both the Conservation Commission and the project proponent as this project moves forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before we continue this, any other comments from commission members? I'm hearing none. So are we continuing to the next meeting 3 weeks from now, or 6 weeks from now, given there's got to be wetland line
I would ask for the
confirmation?
continuance to the 6 weeks to
6 weeks?
please.
Okay. We can certainly do that.
What would that date be? Or do you know that now, or Melissa?
April
Melissa will get
23rd.
it to me after. It's no,
Yeah,
it's okay.
April 23rd.
Just so you know, that is school vacation week, and I will not be at that meeting. I don't know if we're gonna have trouble getting a quorum if people are traveling, if I'm the only one in that boat.
No, I was just going to mention the same thing,
I'll be
Elizabeth.
away that week too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
How do we
it's
feel
spring
about
break.
April 30th?
April 30 then.
Great.
Do I hear a motion to continue to April 30th?
So moved?
There's a second.
Second. 30th it
All in
is.
favor?
Oops, sorry.
Zulik,
Yes.
Barrington,
Yes.
Upton,
Yes.
Barbary Glovsky,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Osmano.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, board.
All right. Next up, we have newer continued business. Request for certificate of compliance for DEP number 290-1087, 26 Meadow Lane trench drain.
Yes, and I think Joe, if you want to hop off, I think we're good. There's nothing new for Woodland. They requested till the next meeting because of the weather, they weren't able to do the dry well. So I think you're good.
Okay. I will see everyone next time.
All right, thanks,
Good night.
Joe.
Yep.
Have a good night. For 26 Meadow Lane, though, I think we can issue that cert, can't we?
We sure can. Yeah, just as a reminder, this is the trench drain that they did a few years ago along the runway to mediate the high groundwater for the Carriage Hill septic. So this doesn't have anything to do with the new subdivision that we recently approved last year. What they have been waiting on the last 2 years was they had some ongoing invasive removal, and we needed 2 years of monitoring reports. So I'm happy to say I've received both, and they have great success rates. So this is ready to be closed out.
All right. Do we hear a motion to issue the cert of compliance for 26 Meadow Lane?
So moved.
There's a second.
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 Oh,
Sounds like a second and third. All in
Zulik,
favor?
Yes.
Barrington,
Yes.
Upton,
Yes.
Barbary Glovsky,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Osmano.
Yes. All right. I need to step away for like 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
I don't know if Jenna or Melinda, you want to update us on the conference if you went and if you learned anything fun.
I had fun at the conference. I always do. And I went to my favorite presentation again this year on vernal pools and learned some interesting things about the different creatures that live in the pools and in particular some of the impacts of climate change that may affect the habitat going forward, particularly for the marble salamander, which may actually come farther north than it currently is, so we may see more of them around here. And then I also went to a presentation that Joe was at um, on a process that they did in the town of Norfolk to deal with failed culverts, since it seems like we are dealing with failed culverts on Willow Street in particular. It's come up more than once. And the town of Norfolk did some really interesting things to address a pretty major issue with the culverts in that town. So thought it was well worth it, and it's always good to see the energy, and there were lots and lots of students there. So up and coming wetland scientists and some familiar faces that we see at this meeting, either Joe himself and his firm, but also Goddard Consulting was there and all the other ones that we often see representing the various organizations that are trying to develop projects in town. So
How
I think
was lunch?
well worth it. How was the lunch?
Lunch is always good.
The lunch is excellent. There were so many
Exactly.
people, they went to a more of a buffet model than a pick what you want kind of thing. But I still thought it was really good, and it was I wound up eating lunch with some friends that are conservation commissioners in the town of Harvard. So able to compare some notes too.
Yeah, that's great. I used to love going there and actually enjoyed the lunch more than about anything else because you can Islam, you can interface with members from other towns. You can kibitz while enjoying some really good.
You can also get a lot of swag there, pens.
Yeah, I heard the swag was I'm on Rutland Concom here in the town that I'm in, and one of my commissioners went and he came back with, a whole slew of things. He was texting me all day saying how excited he was. It was his first
The
year.
Vernal Pool Association has
Yeah.
nice.
So what did Lucas have for swag? Anything good?
I think I get a pen from them.
Yeah.
There's a place
I still
that
have their laser.
was giving out maple candy that was it's sort of a post and beam, sort of architecture that they do a lot of outdoor structures, and they were giving away maple candy. That might have been the best thing.
Back when Chris supported us, as environmental consultant, I got a laser pen, and it stopped working.
Oh, I remember that.
I gave him a little bit of a hard time. I said the quality of these things is terrible, so he gave me 5.
Oh, and was it Jenna? Did you go or was it Kevin? Now I'm doubting myself. Who else went? No one? Am I losing it? Okay, great. Love that. Okay, cool.
Melinda was the only one that went.
All right,
I guess so.
you're going to be filled with regret because they have these excellent vernal pool notebooks that are yellow, so that when you scoop the eggs out from the vernal pool, you can see with the yellow background what you're.
Yeah. I've got about 10 in the closet at work if anyone needs one. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Jenna. I swear I signed you up, but apparently not. But it's okay. All is well. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Probably am. Okay.
Okay. So 170 Woodland Road, we're continuing. Constant land use regulations.
Yeah, so this is something we had talked about in the past, to have a set of regulations for the properties that we have care and control over. Mainly it gives us an authority that if we find someone either with an encroachment or, dumping of materials, trash, etc., we have an avenue to kind of ticket or at least have a set of rules and regs that are posted so that we can refer to them and have something as kind of a backbone, especially if for whatever reason you needed to call police for something, or if something got to that certain level. I created two different sets. The main goal I think was to have something formally accepted by the commission, because by accepting these, it's under your certain authority within the Conservation Commission Act that you can accept these rules and regulations. It gives you the authority to do so. And the starting goal was to first, create these for ones, especially at Breakneck Hill, because we have had an abutter for the last several years that has been mowing a pretty significant portion of meadow behind their home on Woodland Road. And so, we've talked to the police, we've had DPW sync posts and chains, we've had cameras, we've posted signs, we've got the neighbors really mad that this person is doing it and also calling the police on them. And the police are more than happy to go out. We had to delineate kind of where the property bound is because they need to understand that they are trespassing and doing an actual destruction of property. So by accepting land use regulations, it gives us that avenue to kind of further enforce and cease and desist, especially for those types of neighbors. Due to the kind of vast differences that Breakneck Hill is versus our other conservation properties, it seemed prudent to make two different sets, one exclusive for Breakneck Hill and one just general for our other, uses and properties. I will admit I copied a lot from other communities because every community pretty much looked exactly the same, which is great that there's a lot of consistency out there. So, they're very boilerplate, very standard of what you would see and what's prohibited. The Breakneck Hill ones are a little bit more in depth with some of the rules changes that we've had to implement in the last couple years. Added a little bit more on dogs, I think, specifically in the Breakneck Hill one, because we have had problems. And I think from Stowe, they had some better language that explained it a little bit more. So I've sent the Breakneck Hill ones off to Stewardship Committee. I believe they're meeting on the 19th, Kevin. And it'll be one thing that they're talking about. Nothing has changed in terms of the rules that they already have posted. But do you want, if they have anything else they want to add, this is a perfect time to do it. Because these are rules and regulations, a town bylaw, we have to post a public hearing for them. So this is just a general discussion for tonight. If there's anything that stands out that you don't like or would like to add, change, and then once we're ready, I can make sure that the hearing is posted and these are posted with the town clerk and we can formally accept them and they will be official. That's my spiel.
So Melissa, what are some of the changes that we should be aware of?
Changes in terms of what the rules are, or I'd say there's not really any changes in terms of what we would already enforce. This just makes an official memorialization of them. So, it's really just talking about, these, like standard regulations, there's the purpose. We're adopting these to protect our lands and ensure that, the community benefits from them in a safe and healthy way. We can promulgate these under our Conservation Commission Act. It does set kind of a general openness time to all of the properties from dawn to dusk, which I don't think we technically have anywhere on just our general properties. and then, formalizes that, you can't cut trails into land owned by the Concom without our permission. You can't destroy any plants. No hunting. You can't have a fire. Um, uh, you could camp as long as you have permission from us, which we've done on other properties. It's been a really long time since we've had that. You can't do drugs or alcohol on our properties, all the fun stuff. Um, and then it also, I think the biggest thing is that it does set a violation. So that's the key to this, is that sure, we've had all these rules, but there's nothing to say you have violated them and this is your penalty. So that's what these do.
So essentially, if there's a violation, the police can give a ticket.
Right. Or us.
Where today they can't. They have to have a conversation, say you're not supposed to do that, slap them on the wrist.
Mhm.
This puts some teeth behind it. Basically says that if you have a violation, we can now fine you for the violation. Maybe not the first discussion, but at some point. But if you're camping, can you have a fire?
I mean, open fires and camp stove fires are not permitted. I think it'd be something that, if the commission allows camping somewhere, we could write within our approval, as long as it's done in a safe place in a designated area. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say if the Boy Scouts wanted to go out and have some
Yeah.
sort of a retreat or something, and they wanted to camp overnight for a couple of nights. I would think there should be a provision where we could allow them to camp and have a fire.
Yep. Okay.
They could cook hot dogs on a fork or something, right? So, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. So I'll put something in there like the commission may approve, fires on a case by case basis or something similar.
We probably have some wording around camping about that, right?
Yeah, I'll fine tune it when my brain is working a little bit better, maybe.
Are you on baby brain right now?
Yeah, I didn't sleep really last night, so I'm spoiled. He sleeps for the most part, so one night really throws us.
Okay. Oh, good for you.
I might want to recommend that we use language that's a little stronger about the fires. I know, as in a butter to Breakneck Hill, there was a time when people who lived in this neighborhood were cutting their own little paths and having a fire pit, not on their land. So just, I don't think it's happening anymore. But I would want to make sure that we make it clear that it is not permitted, except in isolate or, that limited, very limited in how it's allowed, and only with special permissions.
Okay. Right, yeah, I'll finesse that section 4D a little bit and add that a little bit more cohesively before our next meeting.
All right. And then we have your agent report.
Yes, what do we have here? Okay. Open and active sites. Not really an active site, but an active application. 250 Turnpike has submitted revised materials finally to the ZBA for their 40B permit. So I've been going over them the last 2 days. We just got them this week. And will, putting comments together for a compilation. I will check when they're next on the ZBA meeting. I think they're going to continue the very next hearing they have, since they just first submitted their revised plans. So I think there will be an opportunity for the commission to discuss a comment letter that I'll draft for the next meeting, and that way it can come from all of us. But if there isn't time, then I'll have it just come from the office. I think there's still a lot of outstanding comments from the Vernal Pool side, the crossing, and and just general site work. A lot of the grading and proximity to the wetlands and the potential vernal pool, or certifiable vernal pool, in my opinion. So I will compile those. I've got a rough written list going. If I didn't send the email out with the attachments, I think it was pretty big, but they are on the ZBA website, on the town's website, under the 250 Turnpike application tab. So everything from start to current is on there, including peer reviews, responses, etc., to the most recent plans. So that's probably the best way to go look at those due to their size. And that's where Laura continuously updates that information. You can also, I think, subscribe to that page as well if you want to get notified when something gets added, just like any of her 40B application pages too. She's very good at that. So that's probably the biggest one in terms of updates. And other
Remind
than
me again
that,
where 250 is?
250 is Beehive. So it's going to be the,
across the street from Carnova.
yes, yep.
Right,
Yeah,
that's
so
where they
it's
tore
gonna
down the
be-
buildings right across the street. So it's interesting. I went by there and all the, just to the east of, the Beehive building, the parking lot that's behind the chain link fence,
Mhm.
no longer has any stored vehicles there whatsoever. They've all been removed.
Hmm.
And I find that interesting.
Yeah, I know. So the 40B is going behind the parking lot. So the parking lot will remain. They're still planning at some point to do that contractor's building
Yes.
in the parking lot. And then the entrance off Route 9 would be the entrance to the 40B through, they'd make it like a common easement driveway
Through
thing.
through the entrance where they
parking
had the
lot.
stored vehicles,
Yes.
with the contractor stuff kind of being to the southeast of that.
Yes.
If you drove in, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's a little interesting. It's a little interesting. So
More than a little.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So it's
But they had campers and trucks and trailers and boats all stored in there. They're all gone.
That is bizarre. I haven't
You know,
noticed
and
that.
they left kind of after the snowstorm. They were there, then they were gone. So they had to plow all that to get them out.
Curious.
Anyways,
Okay.
curious.
That's good to know. I'm usually going a little bit faster past there, so I don't necessarily notice that
Well, I
I'm
have to
stuck
slow
in
down
there.
right there to take
Yeah.
a right on the Parkville Road to go home. So I'm really slow by that.
So the only other thing that I really have is I was on site at 21 Coslin today, where the lovely Costco is going. Met with the site superintendent for the demo only, and members from Westboro Town Hall to go over erosion controls and construction schedule, etc., for the demo of the existing building. So they are, I think I sent out an email, starting to power down the building, do their final utility shutoffs. They're going to be starting in the back steel building, and if you're looking at the site, in the back left, which is technically in Westboro, they're going to start there and then go to the building 4 directly in front of it and pull into kind of what they've already demoed. So they will be demoing in place. All the pavement is still staying as they stated. There will be some small stockpile, or they probably won't be small, stockpiles of concrete out in the front parking lot because it will most likely be reusable material that Costco could use. Anything that's not reusable or can be structural fill, like all the brick will be taken off site that can't be used. Things like that will be disposed of, but reusable material will be stockpiled with erosion controls around it in the parking lot area out front. All the catch basins have silt sacks, all that fun stuff. So, hopefully they will do that in, pretty quick succession, so they'll be done by early June. And I think I do have a meeting that with the planning board or the planning department, Costco, for a pre-filing application for their site plan. So a bunch of us department heads are discussing with them on the 18th about their pre-filing, go over some of their documents. So I think they're getting ready to submit to the various boards. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that pretty soon. Other than that, it's been pretty quiet out there in terms of construction. Little projects, little questions. I think as people start to gear up for spring, but nothing too crazy. And then for the DOER small clean energy project regulations, so I mentioned this at our last meeting that some of us department heads were meeting with our central region coordinator. And I think it was, at least for me, very helpful, very useful, and very stress relieving after his presentation. The way that they have put out the materials and the initial drafts of the regulations for these small clean energy projects and the local consolidated permit almost seemed like towns needed to create their own bylaws to do this. They've edited the regulations as such that we do not need to do that. So essentially, the select board or whoever they designate, starting in October, will need to accept any project that qualifies as a small clean energy project, a consolidated local permit application that it will include every single application for every board or committee or department, except for ministerial permits that they are required to do. So one big application will have every sub application, and that designee in the town then disseminates it to all the boards and committees, and everyone needs to act within 12 months of a completed application being submitted. If one board or committee denies that the application, the whole application then is denied as a whole. The applicant, the only kind of downside and fault that I see is that the applicant can then appeal directly to the Energy Siting Board. So all of our local permits, even if we've approved it with conditions, are thus appealed because we as a town denied the entire project. So that is the one concerning project portion of the regulations that I had the most concern with. If one board or committee either didn't act in time, or the project gets appealed, they could potentially have less restrictive conditions issued by the Energy Siting Board. Even if we technically approved a project with conditions, it could be overruled. It's bizarre. And then the other item is if we fail to approve or deny in general, the application can be constructively approved so that the DOER has a kind of set of regulations, standard conditions, much like we have our standard set that the project would need to follow. And it's almost kind of like the applicant is just like stamping and signing that, oh yeah, we meet all of the applicable performance standards and regulations for all the boards and committees, and they just like, to put it simply, like take their word for it, in my opinion. So that's a little dicey. So, I think my biggest thing is making sure that us on a town side takes any application that we get for, these small clean energy projects, whether they be battery storage, solar, etc., seriously. And that when we get these applications, if we do, that each board and committee, acts in the best interest of meeting that 12-month deadline for sure, and doing so in an efficient manner, and in a way that protects all of the resources of the town. So something to think about. Thankfully, it's nothing that we need to jump forwards because we're already 6 steps back. You know, they made us feel great and saying, you know, we are actually a little bit ahead of it. You're already thinking about it. So better than expected, but still a little scary, the fact that all this is going on. Does anyone have any questions on that? I know that was a lot to throw at you pretty quickly. But I'd be happy to send you any documents or pages if you guys want further clarification too. Okay. All right. I think that's it.
Okay. Anybody else have anything top of mind? No. If nothing, then do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Zulik,
Yes.
Barrington,
Yes.
Upton,
Yes.
Barbary Glevsky,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asamano.
Yes.
All right, guys.
All right. Thanks all. Good night.
Thanks,
Hey.
Melissa. Good night,
Good
everyone.
night.